We usually talk about the violence, but almost no one sees the mental reconstruction that happened in a Catskill basement back in 1980, where Mike's original personality was basically deleted. It was a manufactured ghost. Wait, it gets better. Mike made a specific, terrifying mistake early on that he kept hidden for 40 years. A mental fracture that almost cost him his sanity before he ever turned pro. We're going to see exactly what that cost him. The secret isn't his speed. It's actually a hypnotic trigger planted by Cus D'Amato, a command that worked like a sleeper agent's code which Mike is still wrestling with today. He was never fully in control. Look at 1970s Brownsville. Mike was a kid with 38 arrests by age 13, living in a state of constant survival mode where every shadow felt like a threat. He was hunted. That trauma changed things. He raised pigeons, the most vulnerable birds, because they mirrored his own fragility, but when a bully killed one, something dark finally snapped inside him. The shadow self woke up. Then came Cus D'Amato. Cus wasn't just a trainer. He was a mental architect who saw Mike's lack of a father figure as a clean slate for a radical experiment. He saw raw power. Now, here's the weird part. Cus would whisper to Mike as he slept, repeating intense mantras about being the most ferocious man on earth until the idea bypassed his conscious mind entirely. It was brainwashing. Think about this logic. Cus taught Mike that fear is a fire that can either warm your house or burn it down. But the problem was Mike was never taught how to put the fire out. He was burning. The peekaboo style was a bunker. By hiding his face behind his gloves, Mike entered a sensory-deprived state that let him focus only on hitting a target rather than fighting a human. It was mechanical. This created the intimidation gap. Mike would walk out with no socks, no music, and no robe as a way to trigger a primal fear response in the other guy before a punch was thrown. He looked ancient. Watch his eyes closely. Mike practiced an unblinking stare that messed with his opponent's nervous system, forcing them to freeze up like prey in front of a predator. It was cold. But the plan had a flaw. When Cus died in 1985, the mental scaffolding fell apart, and Mike was left with a monster's power but no steering wheel. He was alone. Without his mentor, Mike's head started to eat itself. He turned to extreme lifestyles just to numb the whole Cus left behind, which is a classic sign of someone losing their sense of self. He was drifting. Tokyo wasn't a boxing failure. It was a mental surrender where Mike met someone who didn't fear him, and without his psychological shield, his actual skills just evaporated. He felt naked. Then the shadow took over. The Holofield earbite wasn't just a foul. It was Mike regressing back to that scared 13-year-old kid who felt cornered and had to bite his way out. It was feral. Prison changed the framework. He started reading Machiavelli and studying Islam, realizing that his own ego had become a cage that was tighter than his actual cell. He was awakening. Mike eventually said he hated Iron Mike. The mask that made him famous was actually choking the life out of the human being underneath it. He felt disconnected. The real shift was the toad. Taking 5-MeO-DMT caused a total ego collapse, something Mike described as finally dying while he was still breathing. It was heavy. The monster was finally dismantled. He saw that Iron Mike was just a shield he built because he was scared of a world he didn't understand. He felt light. He went from hunting people to studying peace. He talks about his nothingness now, which sounds a lot like the old idea that the self is just an illusion. He found stillness. Actually, there's a darker detail here. Cus used to make Mike stare at a blank wall for hours to force him into a trance before they ever hit the pads. It was hypnotic. This was sensory conditioning. It breaks down your ego until you're wide open to suggestions, essentially turning Mike into a biological weapon programmed in his sleep. He was automated. This explains why he felt like an observer in his own body. His brain was literally turning off the part that thinks, letting his pure fighting instincts run the show. He was gone. But what about that hidden truth? The terrifying mistake wasn't physical. It was Mike's secret, gut-level belief that he was actually born evil. It was a dark weight. Cus didn't fix that belief. He used it as a tool, convincing Mike that being evil was his only value, leaving a scar that took 30 years to heal. It was cruel. He lost his natural empathy. To be the king, he had to believe he was a beast, which meant he didn't even recognize the man in the mirror. He was haunted. Now we see post-traumatic growth. He isn't Iron Mike anymore. He's a guy who finally made peace with his shadow and learned how to put out the fire. He is whole. He says his biggest weakness is his sensitivity. Think about that. The man the world feared for being a brute was actually suffering from too much empathy that he had to bury. It was backwards. Coming back to the ring now isn't for money. It's a way to prove he can walk into the fire without letting the monster take control of his life again. It's a test. Here's the final secret. Mike was never a monster, just a sensitive kid who thought his only worth was his ability to break things. He's human. It's a heavy lesson in identity. It shows that you can build a god out of trauma, but you'll eventually have to kill that god to find any peace. It's over. Look at his face today. That iron persona wasn't built in a gym. It was built by tearing Mike's soul apart, and only now is he finally happy. He's free.